Hey babe, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, I'm Treasure, your new favorite mental health girly. Welcome babe. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any videos. Welcome back to the last and final episode of Living in Alignment, where we have been learning how to align our mental health with our daily life. In the previous episodes, if you missed them, I will link it at the top so you can go back and watch them and then meet us back here. But I felt like this specific episode is so important because we have been talking about how to do internal work with taking care of our mental health and aligning it with our daily lives. But I felt like it was so important to also talk about how to incorporate our mental health into relationships that we have with people, because the relationships that we have with people definitely affect our mental health. Have you ever left a conversation feeling completely drained and wondering why you don't feel better but actually feel worse? That is when I realized that the people we surround ourselves with completely affect our mental health. That is why today we are diving into how relationships affect our mental health and exactly what we can do to better align our mental health with our relationships. By the end of this video, you will learn actionable steps that will help you build supportive relationships and set boundaries to protect your peace. Relationships act as mirrors to our emotional and mental state. So positive relationships are going to boost your mental health, while toxic relationships can cause you to have stress, anxiety, and even depression in some cases. So for example, previously I have had some very toxic relationships as far as friendships go, as far back as I can remember from childhood, where I thought that I needed to be a people pleaser and allow people to treat me however they saw fit because that is what was making them happy, not understanding that I was sacrificing my own happiness in the process and how that would affect me later on down the line. Now, obviously, I have talked about before being depressed and going through depression and how a lot of things contributed to that. And one of the things that definitely contributed to it was me having a history of toxic relationships where I was very aware that what people were doing weren't the way that I deserved to be treated, but I never stood up for myself and set boundaries to let people know that I was not going to allow them to treat me that way. So it negatively affected me in my mental health and contributed to the depression that I went through. But now that I am not depressed and going through that process and learning how I need to better set boundaries and put me first, I have now learned how to cultivate positive relationships where I am clear about what my boundaries are and I don't back down no matter how it may make someone else feel. And not to be mean about it or not to make people feel insignificant or like I don't care about their feelings, but I am not willing to not uphold my boundaries because it affects someone else, because the boundaries that I have in place are what's best for my mental health. Now, the first thing that you have to do in starting to create healthy relationships that support your mental health is to first point out the negative things in your relationship. Because just because there are things that you don't agree with or you don't like in your relationship does not necessarily mean you gotta throw the whole relationship in the trash and move on. There are some instances where you can work through it, have conversations, and set better boundaries that are respected by both parties. So in order to do that, you have to first recognize what are the toxic things that you have in your relationship that you need to get rid of, that you can evaluate so you can decide if this is something that you can work through, or is this something that is absolutely no, we are just gonna go our separate ways and move on with our life. So a couple red flags that I have personally dealt with and recognized in previous relationships are lack of empathy, manipulative behavior, constant negativity, and dismissing your emotions. Now for me, dismissing my emotions is probably one of the biggest things because I am a very emotional person, and anytime I feel like someone is pushing my emotions to the side, it is a giant red flag for me, because before, when people would do that, I would just allow them to put my emotions aside and make me feel like they didn't matter and suppress whatever feelings that I was having. But now that I am more aware and understanding that I have a right to my emotions, I have a right to feel how I feel about whatever situation it is. If I feel like someone is basically telling me you don't get to feel how you feel, it is a big red flag, because for me that is a boundary that I have to respect my emotions regardless if you agree with them or not. Those are the most common red flags, but of course there are multiple red flags that you should be looking out for. Paying attention mostly to the things that bother you. That is going to be what your red flags are. If it bothers you, it is a red flag. Your brain takes note of the things that it does not like, so you should pay attention to the signals that your brain is telling you. Now, you also want to pay attention to signs that your relationships are affecting your mental health. So, are you feeling drained or feeling anxious anytime you're around this person? Are you constantly second guessing yourself when you are having conversations with this person? Do you feel unsupported or belittled when you're having conversations with this person? If the person in that relationship is making you feel any of those things, those are going to be signs that your body is telling you that this is not okay. Now, at that point, you can decide, is this someone that you are willing to have a conversation with and point out that they are making you feel this way? Because in some cases, it's possible that people may not even know that they are making you feel these emotions and that they are willing to work on it and make some changes. But if you feel like this person would not be receptive and you don't feel that it is necessary to even have a conversation, those are going to be the signs to let you know that this is not a relationship that I want to be in. Whether it is an intimate relationship, a friendship, a family member, you have a right to remove yourself from those relationships. Normalize outgrowing relationships. We all grow as humans and we all go in different directions. There are people that you may have grown up with since you were in diapers, and at some point in your life, you just don't like the same things. You just have a different direction that you want to go with your life, and that is okay. Normalize outgrowing those relationships and not holding on to relationships because of the amount of time that you've known each other or the amount of love that you have for someone. You can love someone and let them go. You can know someone for years and let them go. It doesn't mean that there has to be any bad blood or any negative energy. It's just, this relationship no longer serves me and I want to remove myself from this relationship, because what is most important is your mental health. And if it is negatively affecting your mental health, then you need to let it go. Now that we have talked about how to recognize toxic patterns and making a choice if you want to have a conversation with this person and try to change things and fix it, or if you just decide, I simply just want to let it go because it doesn't serve me, this is how we are going to start to build supportive relationships that help our mental health and support our well-being. So first, let's talk about a few common qualities that are good for a healthy relationship that supports your mental health. Mutual respect, empathy, open communication, and shared values. Now, if some or none of these don't seem to fit into the things that you feel are good for a healthy relationship, that is okay. There are so many things to choose from. What you should pay attention to is the things that are important to you. Those are going to be the signs that you look for when you are creating a healthy relationship that is supportive to your mental health. If it's important to you, then it should be important to the person that you are in that relationship with. Regardless if it is a romantic relationship, a friendship, or a family member, it should be something that you both agree on, that you both feel is important, because if one feels that it's more important than the other, at some point, it's not going to be valued the same on both sides, and that can cause a negative connotation in the relationship, which essentially will then start to affect your mental health, because you're going to start feeling like this person is not taking into consideration your boundaries or the things that you need to help you grow in this relationship. So a couple steps that you can do to attract healthy relationships: be intentional with the time you spend with people. I have said it multiple times this year, but being intentional with everything that you do in your life is going to be one of the most important things that you can do for your mental health. Mental health is all about intentionality, because it does not come easy. It does not come natural to take care of your mental health. You have to be intentional. So being intentional with the time that you are spending with this person is going to be something that you need to help cultivate a positive relationship. Number 2, share your boundaries and clearly communicate what that means to you. So whatever boundaries it is that you feel are important to you, you need to be able to articulate it to that person where they are very clear and understand what you mean. So there's no confusion, there's no room for them to overstep a boundary, because you have been clear. You have said exactly what it is you need, the way that you need it, and they have agreed that they are able and willing to give that to you. If you are not clear, it is hard to hold people accountable for respecting those boundaries. Because yes, if you are setting the boundary, the person should respect that boundary, and if they cannot, you don't need that person in your life. However, if you are setting a boundary but you are not clear with what that boundary is and that person oversteps, it's not necessarily fair to hold them accountable, because you were not clear about exactly what you needed. This is why being clear and having open communication with what your boundaries are is going to be important in positive relationships. Lastly, look for people who inspire you to grow. You don't want anyone in your life that is going to make you feel stagnant and is not going to push you to be the best version of you, because essentially we all want to grow to be better every single day. I have read the Atomic Habits book, and I've been hardcore on 1% better every day, whatever that looks like. You want someone that is going to push you to be 1% better every single day. You don't want someone that's going to be okay with you being stagnant or moving backwards and not growing. You want someone that's going to push you forward to make you reach towards your goals and achieve your dreams. So make sure that that is something that you are also looking for when you are cultivating a good, healthy, and positive relationship. So personally, I have gone through this process as far as acknowledging the things that are toxic that I just don't want to deal with, and building very healthy relationships in my life currently. I am telling you the steps that you need to take to get to that point, but I don't want you to think that this is an easy process, because it's not by far. It can be really hard to let go of things and people that you have history with, because there's a lot of love, there's time, there's energy that you put into those relationships, and it can make you feel like you don't want to let it go, or you're trying to hold on to it for whatever reason. You want to try to make it work. And it's a process of figuring out which people are worth the time to try to fix it and which people are just not worth the time and energy, and not in a bad way, but just, I feel like this relationship no longer serves me. It can no longer serve me, so I need to put it aside and love this person from a distance, is a hard process. The same as trying to build healthy relationships is also a process, because it is still about having compromises between two people, because everyone is not going to get exactly what they want to a T. You are going to have to find compromises, but it is learning what things you are willing to compromise on and what things you are not. That within itself is a job, because two people have to decide in that relationship who is going to bend where and how much. So it is work to cultivate a healthy relationship, but it is so worth it, because once you have yourself in order internally, taking care of your mental health, that is a daily task. It does not just happen when you figure it out and then it's done. You never have to worry about it again. You have to take care of your mental health daily. But once you do the internal work to start doing that every single day, and you start to incorporate that into your relationships, and you're working at that every single day, because that is also not a one-time situation. You will have to constantly do the work to make sure that that relationship continually serves you and the other person. So with that being said, I want you to take away that it is work, and it's not something that's easy, but doing the process is so worth it, because at the end of the day, all of it together wrapped up with a bow is what's going to help you with your mental health. And doing all of these things with intention and genuinely trying to fix your mental health or make sure that you stay in a healthy state of mind is going to make all the difference for you. So once you're doing all of these things, you are going to want to do reflections with yourself pretty frequently, so you can make sure that you are staying aligned with your mental health in your relationships. So to do this, the first thing you want to do is to regularly check in with yourself. Is this relationship still serving me? Is this relationship still best supporting my mental health? And if it is not, what things do I need to do to change it? Because again, people can fall back into bad habits. People can want different things. You may feel like your boundaries need to change. And so you need to make sure that you are addressing those things and having open communication with that person to let them know things aren't working the way that I would like them to. How can we fix it? How can we make it better? You can also be taking notes in a journal or simply just meditating, and think about how you're feeling after you leave a person. So if you're hanging out with friends, if you're hanging out with a family member, if you're hanging out with your partner, how am I feeling afterwards? Am I feeling drained? Am I feeling happy? Am I feeling angry? Am I feeling sad? Whatever emotions you're feeling, you want to really hone in and pay attention to those things, because that is your body telling you that either something's off or things are working good. And you want to make sure that if things are working good, you keep doing those same things. But if things are feeling off, you want to recognize them immediately so you can have a quick fix and start to change things around before things get too out of hand. Now, if you have gone through this whole process, you've done all the steps, you're regularly checking in with yourself, you're journaling, you're meditating, and you are doing all the things that you need to do to make sure you are cultivating positive relationships with people, there is a possibility that sometimes, even with doing all of that work, you still need to let people go. Understand that that is okay. It doesn't have to be always a negative situation. Sometimes nothing is necessarily wrong in the relationship. You could feel happy most days, or you could feel like we don't really have much conflict, but this relationship still isn't serving me the way that I need it to. Be okay to let that relationship go. Be okay to say, this isn't working for whatever reason, and I need to remove myself from this situation because it is not helping me with my mental health. It is not helping me with my mental well-being. And just because nothing bad is happening does not mean that it is still good for you. Being okay and understanding and recognizing that relationships evolve over time, and sometimes they evolve into no longer being relationships, that is okay. There is no reason that we need to hold on to people or things that no longer serve us, no matter what the situation is. So now that we have discussed all of the things to incorporate our mental health into our relationships, I have a challenge for you this week. I want you to take 10 minutes one day out of your week and sit down and assess the people that you feel like are supporting you in your mental health and the people that you feel like are not supporting you in your mental health. All of the people that are supporting you, yay, great, love that for you. But anyone that is not supporting you in your mental health, I need you to evaluate that relationship. Think about, is this person someone that I want to try to fix things with, try to have open communication, set new boundaries, be clear about the things that I need, and give a chance for this relationship to turn around and better support my mental health? Or is this a person that I just need to let go out of my life because it's no longer serving me and it will no longer serve me? When you do this exercise, I want you to be very honest with yourself. Please do not try to convince yourself to keep people in your life that you know in the back of your mind you need to let them go, babe. Do not hold on to things or people that you know no longer serve you. Do not try to fix things and go through this process with someone that you know good and well you need to get rid of. I'm telling you this from experience because there are plenty of situations where I have had to go through the same test 10 times because I refuse to let people go. You will keep being faced with situations where you are having to go through the same turmoil over and over and over again because you refuse to walk away. I am trying to help you to stop this toxic process and just let go of the people that you know you need to let go of. I promise it will be better for you and your mental health. Now, after you've done this exercise, I want you to come back to this video and comment below one thing that you did to align your mental health with your relationships. You don't have to put too much detail. Don't put people's names, but just simply say, I reevaluated a relationship and I figured that I want this person to try to change the things that I need to change and set better, clear boundaries. Or, I let someone go from my life because they were no longer serving me. So we can support each other through this process. That is the end of this video. I just want to say thank you so much for sticking around and watching this whole series. I really enjoyed filming this series because it was giving me a chance to really take all the things that I learned going through depression and put them into actionable steps to better help my mental health and hopefully better help your mental health. Because while I am explaining these things or talking about these things to you, I am still on my own journey to making sure that I am taking care of my mental health, because like I said before, it is a daily thing. You cannot just take care of your mental health once and then think that's the end of it. It is a daily job. So I really enjoyed being able to do this and share the things I've learned with you guys and just start to grow a community where we are learning to care about our mental health, but also take action behind it and take care of our mental health. So thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, go ahead, like this video, comment, let me know what you think. What was your favorite video of this series? Subscribe so you don't miss out on any future content, and I will see you in the next video. Love you, babe.